timeless voices of the Eternal Church.
The Martyrs of Uganda, June 3, 1886. King Mwanga II of Uganda was annoyed. He had tried to stamp out this pernicious Christian faith by killing 3 of his young pages who dared to defy his wishes. And he stopped James Hannington, the English missionary, by having him speared before he even reached Uganda's borders. But the Christians kept popping up everywhere, like a head full of lice, and just as hard to get rid of. Why couldn't they keep quiet about what they believed? He might leave them alone if they didn't keep trying to convert their families and all their fellows. Mwanga was getting tired of killing a Christian here, another one there. Even Karoli, Charles Luanga, the overseer of all his pages, had that silly happy smile common to these Christians. He would settle this thing once and for all. On a day late in May 1886, King Mwanga called for the chief of his pages.
Luanga, I want you to assemble all the pages together first thing tomorrow morning.
After passing word of the king's command among his charges, Charles Luanga lay down in his hut with a heavy heart. He had known it was only a matter of time before he would lay down his life for his Savior, but he wished he could spare the young boys who had been entrusted into his care. He had trained them to be exemplary servants to the king, but he had also pointed many of them to Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior.
Luanga!
Hearing his name in an urgent whisper, Charles sat bolt upright. 4 of his pages crept into his hut. Mabaga, age 17. Duravira, also 17. Mugaga, 16. And Kizito, only 14. Please baptize us tonight, the boys begged. If we are killed, we want to be sure that we will go to heaven to be with Jesus. Astounded at their faith, Charles Luanga secretly baptized the 4 boys. The next morning, Luanga gathered all his charges before the king. King Mwanga came right to the point.
All those who pray to Jesus, stand over there.
Charles Luanga strode to the designated spot. Within moments, more than 30 pages had joined him. King Mwanga was furious.
Tie them up!
He roared to his guards.
Take them to Namugongo,
the place of execution, a 17-hour walk.
and burn them alive.
The head executioner was aghast. His own son, Mabaga, was among them. When did he become a Christian?
Please, my son,
He pleaded as he tied the arms of the other boys.
it is not too late to reject this Jesus. Then I will not have to kill you.
But Mabaga pointed bravely upward.
I want to die for the cause of God.
As the boys marched the many long miles towards Namugongo, Geavira saw one of his friends with whom he had recently had a quarrel among the Christians.
Mukasa, my friend,
He cried,
how happy I am to see you again. Thank God for this reunion. Let us die together for Jesus Christ.
The 2 boys shook hands as a token of their forgiveness. The group had been whittled down to 26 still alive when they reached the place of execution. Several had been speared or beheaded along the way, either because they could no longer walk or because the executioners were afraid the king might relent and pardon his favorites. But the stakes for the burning were not ready, so the condemned had to wait 7 days. They spent their time singing and praising God in spite of the cold and the cords that bound them tightly cutting into their flesh. On June 3, the young men were brought out in small groups. As each group appeared, The others welcomed them with joyful shouts. Little Kizito, the youngest, kept giggling as if it were a game. But he shouted to his companions,
Pray thee, our Father,
the Lord's Prayer,
and suffer bravely.
and Mugaka called out just before being tied with 2 others thrown on the fire.
Goodbye, my friends. I am going to the good God.
Seed of the Church. All 26 were burned that day at Namugongo, but the flames sparked a surge of conversions to Christianity. June 3 is commemorated each year as Martyrs' Day in Uganda Christian Church. Both Catholics and Protestants were numbered among them, and many African youth groups, youth choirs, and children's magazines bear the name of youthful Kizito.
Reading from the complete book of Christian heroes, over 200 stories of courageous people who suffered for Jesus, compiled by Dave and Nita Jackson. This is the Eternal Church of Jesus Christ, the record.